Hey there, Stash Wyslouch here. Welcome to Musical Quick Tips. Today's quick tip: what scale do I play on a chord? You don't need to know a lot about theory in order to tackle this quick tip. All you need to know is a basic understanding of what the chromatic scale is, meaning what are all the 12 notes comprised in the Western scale. You should have a decent grasp of that. Something else that might help in this video is to review quick tip number 23, where I talk about musical intervals. So let's take a chord, for example, C major. Cool. Somebody says, well, what scale can I play on C major? Well, for one thing, I want to use 7-note scales. Yes, you can play 5-note scales, 6-note scales, 8-note scales. But today I just want to deal with 7-note scales. So we have a C major chord. We're going to construct a 7-note scale that'll give us some ingredients to make our own melodies against the chord. What are the notes of a C major chord? C, E, and G. 3 notes. All right, we have 3 out of the 7 notes of the scale already. Now, the other parameter I'm going to say is that we will use all the letters and we will not repeat letters in the scale, meaning in the same scale we're not going to have the note C and a C sharp in the same scale. We might have a C and a D flat, but not a C and a C sharp. So what does that mean? If we have a C, E, and a G already, the 3 notes, the framework of our scale, we need to find a certain D, a certain F, a certain A, and a certain B, so that we have all the letters of our musical note alphabet represented. So we've got the C, E, and G. Let's start with the D. Are we going to do a D flat, a D, or a D sharp? Those are our 3 options. Let's say just a regular D. Okay, so far our scale is C, D, E. What kind of F are we going to do? Well, how about just a regular F? We're not going to do an F sharp right now. After the G, we need to do a certain kind of A. Okay, why don't we just do a regular A? All right, so we have a C, D, E, F, G, A, and then we need to have a certain kind of B. Let's do a B flat. Okay, here's the scale then. If we're just looking at a C chord in space, out of context, you hear that C, you could play this scale and it will work. It contains the basic outlines of the C chord, that is the chord tones, C, E, and G, and then it's got certain colors that we've chosen. In this case, a D, F, A, and B. So next thing you could do, map the scale out, maybe in a position. C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C. Cool. Put on a backing track, C chord. Play the scale up and down in half notes or whole notes even. When you're doing this nice and slow, the cool thing about it is that you can start to hear the difference between the outlines, the frameworks, the chord tones, and the colored notes. Oh, okay, that's that D note against the C major chord. Interesting. It's a nice, interesting color. Gives you a certain vibe. People who can manipulate these different colors in interesting ways are good composers and improvisers. They understand the feelings that these colors can convey against these chords, and they manipulate them strategically to convey a certain musical emotion, feeling, or message. Cool. So, with this general pattern, you could come up with a lot of crazy scales. Let's change it up a bit. We keep our framework of C, E, and G against the C chord. Let's do for our D note, a D flat. For our F note, let's keep it an F. For our A note, let's do an A flat. And then for our B note, a regular B. This is a weird scale. Whoa. a different array of colors here, despite the fact that we have our same framework, our same outline of the C chord with the C, E, and G. Cool. Now, in order to really internalize this weird scale, for example, it would help maybe to codify a little bit. What are these colors? Are you just going to call this scale a C major with a D flat, F, A flat, and a B? Maybe, but there's got to be a shorter way to do it. Being able to describe these colors in relation to the root is an important thing, and a review of quick tip number 3 to really understand how to do that would be good. So for example, the D flat in relation to a C is a flat 2. The distance from a C, the root, the center of gravity in this case, to a D flat is just a half step, a minor second. The F is a perfect fourth. The distance from a C to an F is a perfect fourth. The A flat is a minor sixth away from the root, a flat 6 distance interval. The B is a major seventh. It's a major seventh away from the root. So we could describe this as a major sound with a flat 2, flat 6, and a major 7 and perfect fourth colors. Okay, pretty weird. But on a very basic level, I think this is a cool way to start looking at melodies when you hear them against chords or against bass notes, to really understand what kind of color is being portrayed, what kind of thing is happening to produce a certain effect. Because if you can understand that, then maybe you could imitate it and use it in your own music, in your own thing. Yes, there's a lot of names for a lot of these scales. For example, this major scale with a sharp 4, but everything else is the same. So it's a C, E, G, the outline, a D, regular 2, a sharp 4, an F sharp, an A major 6, and a B, a major 7. That happens to coincide with the mode known as C Lydian. It's got a certain color, it's got a certain flavor. But by constructing it and looking at it from this perspective, I think you can appreciate C Lydian in a totally different way than if somebody just tells you, hey, learn the C Lydian mode and output it on a major chord. Other ways to get inside of it, sing it. How about that weird flat 2, 4, flat 6, major 7 scale? Can I sing that against the C chord? Dum, da, ya, da, pa, da, ya, da, ya, 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 ya. Pretty weird. If you get to playing Billy in the low ground in the key of C and you start throwing a D flat in there, it'll be a pretty strong and specific flavor. But hey, if you do it in an intentional way, at least you'll know what you're doing. You can do the same thing with a minor chord. E minor. What scale can we play against that? Well, we've taken care of the outline. It's just an E, G, and a B. Now we just have to fill in a certain kind of F, a certain kind of A certain kind of C, and a certain kind of D. Right? So we can say, okay, an E. How about just a regular F? How about an A? How about a regular C? And then how about a D sharp? And then back to the E. So that'd be an E minor with a flat 2. Perfect fourth. Flat 6 and a major 7. Crazy. All against an E minor chord. Try to sing it. I don't know if I could right now, but if I really like the sound of that, that's one way that I'd get inside of it. If you're prescribed, for example, a 7th chord, like an A7, well, that just makes our work even easier. We've got 4 out of the 7 notes already outlined for us: an A, C sharp, E, and a G. We just have to fill in a certain B, a certain D, and a certain F. So for example, we could do A, a regular B, C sharp. How about a D sharp? E, F sharp, and then the G, and back up to the A. Oh, interesting. That's a 7th chord with a regular 2, a sharp 4, and a regular 6, a major 6. Interesting. Certain colors to complement the 7th chord. Stay tuned for the next quick tip where I'm going to talk about a cool way of getting even more inside the intervallic content and other ways to manipulate these scales that now you've learned how to create. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out my Patreon. Monthly subscription gives you supplemental PDFs, access to Patreon exclusive quick tips, monthly workshops.